lifetime value. So if I were to ask you, how much is one client worth to your cleaning business? How would you answer that? The thing is, most people don't really have an answer. Someone who's just starting out might say $200 because they know that on average, that is what the typical client pays them. Someone who's a little bit more advanced might say $400. They'll say, hey, $200 is typically what I make per cleaning, but a person typically uses my service on a bi-weekly basis, so that's $400 per month. And then the person who's advanced will say $3,600, because if they still take that $400 per month, but now they factor in how long that person typically stays with their business, and they know that it's 18 months on average, you do 18 multiplied by 400, that is $3,600 in revenue. And that is what lifetime value is. So why is this important? Well, you guys really need to figure out this number, because this is what's going to give you confidence and that mindset that all seven-figure cleaning business owners have when they're growing their business. As the famous Stan Kennedy said, the person who's willing to spend the most to acquire a customer wins. Now, if you go to any of the Facebook groups, such as the Zen Maid group, the Booking Koala group, and you hang around in there, I know a lot of you do, I guarantee you that on a weekly basis, you are going to see a repeat theme where a lot of people are discussing the rising ad costs. So people will say, hey, Google local services used to be so profitable for me. Now I'm spending $50 per lead, $60 per lead, whatever. And people are literally freaking out about this, and they're left at a crossroads. It's, do I pull the plug, or do I find a way that I can just simply make more money with the same amount of effort? And the latter is what I want to talk to you guys about. All right, so let's get into it. There's 3 ways that you guys can increase this number. And the first one I'm going to talk about is probably the simplest and potentially most beneficial, and that's going to be increasing your rates. So increasing the amount of money that one client pays you. And the really cool thing about this is that if you guys understand the concept of gross margin versus net margin, just by increasing your rates, you could potentially double the amount of money that you're pocketing. And that's because your overhead is a fixed price. So your marketing costs, software, what you pay for supplies, your cleaners, all of that stays the same. But if you can, let's say, increase your rates by an extra $40 or whatever it is, that's essentially all money going into your pocket at the end of the day. Over the course of a few months, a year, a couple years, that's a lot of chunk of change going straight to you. Now, in order to do this effectively and ethically, you want to make sure that your clients at least perceive an increase in value for what you're offering. So people often struggle. They ask themselves, how can I increase my prices without losing customers? You want to position this in a sense that your clients are getting something more with this price increase. So it doesn't mean that you have to clean for an extra 30 minutes with those same rates. It just means that you want to ideally package something onto your service to make it seem more valuable. And if you guys are unfamiliar with Alex Hormozi, I strongly suggest that you buy his book, $100 Million Offers, because he discusses this in great detail with something called the value equation, and just little ways that you can essentially position your cleaning business to make it perceived more valuable. The second lever that you can pull is increasing the frequency of cleaning. So this one's probably the most difficult because you really don't have too much say in this. So if you get a client that, let's say, signs up for monthly cleaning, the ideal scenario would be bumping them up to weekly cleaning. But that's really their decision. Based on how clean they can keep their house, their needs and all of that, you can't really influence them too much to increase the frequency. However, some things that you can do are increasing the frequency with, let's say, people that have only used your cleaning service once. So for example, I was just talking to a client recently who had a ton of one-time cleans. He was capturing their information, putting it into their CRM, but they weren't really doing anything to follow up or nurture with a lot of these one-time clients. So an opportunity would be starting to leverage email and SMS marketing just to stay top of mind, just to promote new offers when certain holidays or seasons come up and get those people back through the door. This is a very low cost yet effective way of getting people to potentially increase their frequency with your service. Now, the third lever is going to be increasing the retention or duration of a typical client. So ultimately, this is really going to come down to the customer experience. What does somebody feel when they use your company? And this is why I really speak highly of taking the time and investing into having great cleaners and a really awesome SOP, because if you don't, then people are just going to churn. And churn is inevitable in any service-based business. But if 100% of the clients that you deal with are strictly one-time cleans, or the typical recurring clients only last with your business about 2 months, there's probably something going wrong with your fulfillment process. So again, the value equation in Alex Hormozi's book talks about this in great detail. But just to give you guys some ideas, and these can apply to the other levers too, because I really do think they all work synonymously with each other. But one example could be, instead of just telling your clients to sign up for recurring services, perhaps giving it a more unique name, such as the VIP program, right? So customers can use your service on a frequent basis, and in return, they get access to VIP customer support, or maybe exclusive promos and deals on a monthly basis that only go out to them, or potentially even some affiliate deals. So if you have relationships with other local home servicing businesses, they could perhaps get 20% discount by using their services just by being a member of yours. So these are all ways that you guys can increase the lifetime value of one cleaning client. And the reason why I made this video is because we know that ad costs are just going to keep rising. You know, the cost of groceries, gas, your rents and mortgages, are all increasing, and the marketing landscape is no different. On one sense, this kind of sucks, but on another, it should actually make you pretty happy, because what this does is this knocks away all of the fly-by-night companies that are operating on 1 or 2-man teams. They don't really have the bandwidth to really scale if they wanted to, but especially the cost to acquire a client on the front end is probably going to be too steep for these people, since they don't really have any revenue coming in. That should be a good thing for you, because it really means that all of those that make it to the end are going to be the ones that can find a way to increase the value of each client and justify all of their spend that way. That is it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys for the next one.